Hello everybody, this is Margin of Error, and we're back with another information post for Margin of the Strange. We've got another update of the autumn. It's autumn now, so new season means new information post. So in this one, we've got new images, another part of the ARG, of course, as per the norm now. And let's see what we can find out about Margin of the Strange by analyzing this information post. So let's get in. Starting off with, we've got information about the GDQ trip. Summer Games Done Quick marked the convention debut for Margin of the Strange. It was the first time people got to try the game's demo outside of our closed playtest for backers. It was a blast talking with the attendees and sharing more about the game. Thank you so much to everyone who stopped by our dinky little setup. Yeah, of course I wasn't there, but that would have been great to go. And then we continue on with the development of the Margin. And now for the meat of the update. We are currently making good progress on the Margin/Dreamworld content, with our primary focus being the game's first 2 weeks. We're aiming for content completion of the game's first week around the end of the year. The first week continues to be our biggest hurdle since it provides scaffolding for the rest of the game, but it's nice to see the light at the end of the tunnel at least. Other weeks should go by faster, hopefully. Speaking of scaffolding, there are certain plants in your garden that require you to craft additional structures during their growth cycles. Here it is demonstrated on some seasonally appropriate vegetation. And a bit below that, we see some drawings of the pumpkins, like a few variations. Night Margin trying to draw pumpkins. I think iteration 3 is the best, personally. It looks pretty good, I'm just saying. So I'm going to go over my notes as we go through these. We can see some glass crystals are growing on the rightmost pumpkin there. One of my ideas is that it's kind of like a weed growth, though probably the creeping growths are like the weed equivalent in the Margin. But maybe they grow on your plants and you have to make sure you break them, or else it'll ruin the plant and it'll die off, so you can't harvest it. Or alternatively, it could just be that's when you know you can harvest it. You have to break the glass in order to harvest it. But I mean, taking a look at the pumpkin right next to the left of it, it looks like it's on its own and it's fully formed. So I don't see why it couldn't be a mechanic where you could just harvest it like that. I'm seeing 2 of them with the glass and not the glass, and to me personally it comes off as a weed, like something you have to get rid of. In order to keep the plants healthy, you have to break the glass. But it could also mean that it's done and you can harvest it like that. That was another idea that was thrown around. So personally I think it is like maintaining the plants and making sure they're healthy by breaking the glass. And there's probably going to be like a ton of plants that require scaffolding in order to grow, so that'll be pretty interesting. We're going to have a pretty in-depth gardening system here. That'll be fun. And next we get a glimpse at a new biome picture. So I guess this is roughly dessert themed. I'm pretty sure this would be the biome with the cake on it. We saw a picture of it in one of the updates. I can't remember which one, but we had a picture of a gateway showing a cake biome. There was a picture of a cake on there. And I still go on the belief that this is a biome for Somne. Maybe Amaranth, maybe you can sense a little bit of Amaranth in this design, but I personally still go on the belief that it's Somne, because there's another like pinkish area that has teapots and stuff. So like, I'm kind of going off the assumption that it's still Somne's biome. But it could be Amaranth, who knows. Like, at least I know those 2 biomes are connected and they're probably the same biome, just like 2 different areas, but only time will tell. Only time will tell if I'm right and this is Insomnia's biome. It could very much just not be. I would kind of like, cause we have the Journey to Nowhere pictures, right? And so it's like all water and stuff, and you kind of get that here with the pink water, but still, I don't know. We are also hard at work chipping away at the city area in the waking world, where Lang will spend much of his waking hours in. First of all, take a look at our fast travel system, which takes the form of a subway. Most locations on the menu have been redacted for your spoiler-free convenience. Thank you. In this picture, we get a full Dorian, full body, full portrait sprite here. Looking pretty good. And on the left, we can see a UI to select different parts of the waking world you could go to. First off is the market in the top left, which is the market street, and in the middle is the station where it has the subway. So Dorian, of course, is a train conductor. He conducts the train, he drives the subways. We knew that from one of the posts, I can't remember which one. Oh, you know what? It was probably the character bio we got. But yeah, we'll see much of Dorian in that regard. And on the left, we could see we have 3 locations, I think, that are blurred out. One of them has to be the Windlock Institute, I suppose. And the 2 other ones are more like bright blue than the dark blue of the other 3. So I think that indicates that it's locked and we can't go to those areas yet. That would make the most sense for Margin of the Strange to not let you just go everywhere right at the start. So that'll be interesting to see. Don't know what the other areas could be. Maybe the docks. Maybe the docks. Maybe the docks is an area where we get Alita on a ship and we meet Alita on the ship there. You know, because like we got that picture of Alita on a ship. Maybe we'll go to the docks. Who knows? And here we see a nice video of Ling getting on the subway. And look who's that right there on the left with Dorian. Is that Derek I see? Yes, it is. I'll try to explain that a little bit further down the line about who Derek is. It's hard to really explain, but we'll get to that when we'll get to that later. And also, side note, I have no idea why this UI is in the margin. Why? I don't know how that makes sense. Why is Dorian in the margin? Why is he in the table room? I don't know. That's a weird thing to point out. And also, Dorian doesn't have his gloves on here, but he does in the portrait. Weird. And in this picture, it does say, note, background assets in this particular screenshot are still gray box stage. So these aren't final graphics for the environment or the background. We do see some sort of terminal or screen that Dorian's in. If I had to guess, this is where you would go in order for Ling to call the train to wherever he's at. Because I think Dorian is just always stationed in the subway, maybe. And the subways travel on their own. I don't really know how it works, but Dorian just stays behind while the subway goes. So you're like, wait a minute, who's driving it? Maybe it's very automatic, but Dorian still controls where it goes from within the subway or the station. I don't really know. So I think this is a way for Ling to like call for the subway. Maybe interacting with the screen will also pop up the menu of the travel UI. Not really sure. I guess we'll all find out. Oh yeah, maybe this area is the Market Street, because we did see Night Margin made a post on Blue Sky of the environment for Margin, and that may be the Market Street. I have really no idea, but we did see a very big, expansive environment there. That probably is the Market Street, because I believe that's what they're working on currently for the first week demo. We'll get to that later. One of the earlier areas of the city that you can visit is the Market Street, which has many shops in which you can make many friends. Here's a bookstore, for example, and here we see a picture of a bookstore. There's Ling, and we see on the left Yusef at the counter and Whitney holding some books. These are like the first NPCs we've gotten that aren't like tied to the main story, so we've got some side NPCs here. I'm not really sure how to explain this. So Yusef in the white hair, Whitney in the blue hair, and Derek / brother, he also goes by brother, in the green hoodie. They're all OCs of Night March's friends who participated in an OC tournament called Escape from Navarra. Night Margin also entered in that OC tournament with Amaranth, then called Sheep back then, and they would all... So each round in OC will fight another OC, and whichever one the judges believes won that round, they would advance to the second round, so the field would get narrower and narrower. So each of these OCs were entered by one of Night March's friends, original character, that's what an OC is. One OC per person. So Whitney, Yusef, brother, and Amaranth were all there. That's pretty cool. Fun fact, Yusef and Amaranth fought each other in that OC tournament. That's pretty cool. Escape from Navarra, if you want to read more, search up Escape from Navarra on DeviantArt or whatever, and you'll find the stuff there. I really don't know how to explain it because I'm not the most knowledge on OC tournaments myself. I have a passing knowledge in it. So if you want to learn more, you'll probably have to do your own research because I'm not good enough at explaining Escape from Navarra to new people, you know? Oh yeah, and Yusef and Amaranth are dating, probably, who knows? Maybe that's canon. We're trying to keep as much of the game under wraps as we could, so this is what we're able to share as of now. Update on backer fulfillment. If you've backed for the Your OC in the game tier and haven't given us information on the characters yet, please do so as soon as possible, as we are now actively working on the city area. Do note that we want to integrate your character into the game as naturally as we could, so the sooner we get details, the better. We've also gotten quite a few inquiries about changing your name for the credits of the game. Fret not. We will not be locking down the credit sequence until much closer to the game's release, so it may be best for you to hold off any name change requests until then, as to not overwhelm communications on our end. So around the city area, I guess, or the Market Street maybe, we'll get to meet a bunch of OCs and maybe even make friends with them, because we can apparently make friends with all these sorts of folk, according to the last part. So can't wait to make friends. That's gonna be fun. I wonder if they'll all have like their own entry, like a friend log. Lang just has a friend journal, and he notes down all his friends. Oh yeah, I have a friend named Yusef, I have a friend named Whitney, I have a friend named Carmen. You know, that would be great. Who knows? Closing. Thanks for tuning in to another one of our information posts. Stay warm this fall. And that's the end of the information post. Let me see what other notes I have. So yeah, we may be getting a first week demo by the end of the year, which would be freaking fantastic. Now, we were supposed to get that first demo winter of last year, but that got pushed back to spring, so who knows if it'll arrive on time. Maybe this time we'll get a first week demo on time, like how it was planned, so maybe we'll get it in winter. So stay tuned for December, because the first week demo may be a public demo, so you really don't want to miss that if it's a public demo. I feel like at this point, it doesn't really need to be backer exclusive, because it seems like a pretty definitive demo, first week demo, or maybe it's still backer exclusive, who knows. I would personally believe that there's going to be a public demo soon after that for the first week demo, so hey, stay tuned for that. Oh yeah, let's go over the ARG. Now this part is like really easy compared to the last one where it was barely visible. This one, it's pretty much, it's a lot more straightforward. There's 3 words that are italic in the whole text, and you put them together. The first note. That's not the keyword in of itself, so you gotta do a little bit more thinking. So you may be asking, the first note, what would that be? Maybe it's musical notes. You're not too far off, but that's not the keyword you're looking for. So you're thinking, okay, so what other clues do we have? This part of the ARG ties back to all the way when we had the notes image. So if you go there and you look, you got numbers. And if you remember keys, we had that spectrogram of the audio file playing Moo's name in Morse code on a piano. And in that spectrogram, it tells us 3 equals E. So, got keys, notes, and we have this clue as the first note. So, if 3 equals E, then you should try the number 3. And 3 works. If you put in 3 into the text box, you get a new MP3 file. And so you take that, load it up, you just get some piano notes. Very slow piano notes. Put that in the spectrogram though, you get an information circle. So you got that, but you may be asking, what is the significance of the notes then? Because we have been directed back to it. And we didn't solve it then, but I think we solved it now. Glowseal figured this out. So the numbers represent notes, and the first note is E, and this is going to be played out on a piano, you know? They explained it better than I probably would, so I'll link that down in the description, but I'll also try to demonstrate it here. So basically, if you flip the notes image around because it's mirrored when you get it, you get the numbers 3 and 5 on the top, and on the bottom 4, 6, and 7. Now basically, if 3 is the E note, that means 4 has to be the note above it. You gotta like make a diagram of the notes, and you gotta number the keys. So 3 and 5 are on the top, and 4, 6, and 7 are on the bottom. And you put that in a piano roll, and you play those notes together. I'll just show you. And doesn't that sound familiar? That's the beginning motif of the intro to Margin, the Margin intro trailer flash animation for the webcomic back in 2012. So, wow, that's pretty crazy. So we've just gotten introduced to this motif again through the ARG, and that's what the notes were. And that infinity symbol, I'm just connecting this now, probably means it's Moo's theme. Just editing this in as a quick reminder for those who may not know, Moo's Link's sister. Remember that, that's very important to the game. And tying it with the first 3 equals E audio, which is a piano playing in Morse code, Moo's name, is probably the best indicator that that piece of music is Moo's motif, and also that Moo is probably the one behind the ARG as a whole. Because, you know, looking back, we had that sun picture, we have pieces of paper, we have audio. So maybe Moo really is the one behind the ARG as a whole, and is communicating through both music and the website. Now, this is pretty crazy to really wrap your head around, but yeah. Imagine if Moo really did communicate through music, that would be insane. And maybe the whole "it makes the world beautiful" thing, that's also Moo. Or maybe there could be more than one person behind the ARG that's giving us these clues. So, not really sure. I can't believe Moo's name is the first 2 letters of music and mute, but it's not pronounced mute, it's Moo. This is stupid, am I right? That's just so silly. And so, from now on, you go into the ARG thinking that it's Moo, and interpreting all the previous images that we've gotten and believe those are from Moo, then it's really interesting to peek into the mind of Moo before we've even gotten a real good glimpse at her aside from the trailer and material from before Margin was announced. So excluding all those drawings from before, prior to the announcement, then yeah, we're getting all this stuff despite only seeing Moo for like a very brief glimpse during the trailer. So it's very interesting to think about. There might be a margin of error on Moo communicating through music, but hey, that's what you get when you watch this channel. I believe there's nothing else I can really go over this update, so I'll see you all for the winter update. Goodbye.